The Feed Bandit Podcast, Episode 3. It's September. What are the critters up to? Howdy, and welcome back to the Feed Bandit Podcast, where we entertain ourselves talking hunting and do what we can to support small and family-owned businesses and entrepreneurs in the hunting space wherever possible, as they are the lifeblood of our economy and our communities. Are you a small business, feed store, gear manufacturer, inventor, or early stage or serial entrepreneur in the hunting space and would like to get more exposure to potential customers by being featured on the Feed Bandit podcast? If so, please let us know. Go to feedbandit.com/promote and drop us a line. We'd love to discuss what we can do for you and your business. That is feedbandit.com/promote. And for you fellow hunters out there, do you want special access to new and innovative hunting gear? Well, we are in the process of putting together an exclusive collection of small businesses and entrepreneurs in the hunting space to bring our community the best, newest, and most innovative products available. Limited access will be granted through our email list, so be sure to join the hunt. When you join, you'll get our free ebook of unique hunting tips and tricks for both beginning and experienced hunters. You'll also receive hunting news, tips, supplier giveaways, gear promotions, and much more. We know you probably already get a lot of spam, so we promise to send you only cited-in information that you care about. So don't miss out, and be sure to join the hunt at feedbandit.com/join. Again, that's feedbandit.com/join. All right, well, howdy, everybody, and welcome back to the Feed Bandit podcast. I'm your host, Jimmy Byrne, and with me is my compadre, Richard Kinchlow. How you doing?
Good, sir. How are you doing tonight?
Oh, awesome. Looking forward to having another good conversation, something that's pretty interesting.
Indeed.
That I think a lot of people may not think about. We wanted to talk about the various critters and animals that run around your ranch or lease and, discuss what are they doing right now since it's September. What are they doing as we're going into the fall? As y'all know, we're in dove season here in Texas and pretty much everywhere, I suppose, and getting very close to deer hunting. So let's talk about how they're preparing for the new fall, other than, starting to watch their favorite college football teams, that being the deer.
Yeah.
What do you think? What's the common, white-tailed deer doing walking around out there in the wilderness?
Sure. Well, just again, everything that we're gonna talk about here again is gonna be based in Texas. Obviously, that is where we do our hunting and all that. So really, for us on the place that we hunt, in September is really kind of more of a tight month. And the reason why I use the sigh sound effect there, which I actually did that, I don't have any buttons here to depress that, is because the daytime highs are starting to stay. Hold on. Knock on wood, are starting to stay in the 90s. Okay, the evening temperatures are getting a little bit cooler. We've actually had some of that stuff that falls from the sky, and if you get enough of it, it'll actually
that
fill
liquid
up,
stuff.
Yeah. The rain.
What's that called?
Rain, allegedly. Yeah.
Right.
So we're starting to get some of that. Basically, what I'm getting at is the miserable months of June, July, and August are in the rear view mirror, and nobody's wanting to go back to those. So, right about now, especially in the area that we hunt, the white-tailed bucks are starting to shed their velvet.
What is velvet?
But what is velvet? What is velvet? So, a whitetail. So, let's just go back to the beginning. This could be another podcast, but no, we'll cover it now. So deer. Okay, deer have antlers. Okay, so elk, caribou, mule deer, white-tailed deer, axis deer. So a deer's antlers are constantly growing. Okay, so in Texas at least, the antlers they will actually the hardened antlers will actually fall off, typically starting in about late January and early February. The reason why they're falling off is because you've got another new set of antlers that's growing up underneath there.
And that makes for kind of fun in the spring, right? Looking
Absolutely.
around for sheds as you're going around your property.
Absolutely.
And if you see them, always collect them.
There's no doubt.
There's
no
endless.
doubt.
I mean, there's a lot you could do with them, or just
Yep.
or just throw them in a pile until you figure out what to do with them. I have a whole pile of them now,
Absolutely.
and that I've done various things with. So yeah,
Absolutely.
especially for kids. I mean,
just about
to say that.
Just about to say, one of the things that we like to do is go around into to a pasture and look for the shed antlers. So, but yeah, starting in late February and into early March, again in our part of the state, the antlers will start to grow again, and so when they start to grow, they're actually living tissue. Okay, so if they get damaged, that's how you can get some funky looking antler sets. Okay,
those are my favorite.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, the more non-symmetrical, the best. There you go. So what happens is eventually those antlers will, I guess they basically die, and then they harden, and then so the bucks will start to rub off that skin, and they call that skin the velvet. And underneath there, it actually looks kind of crazy. If you've seen a buck that's just shed his antlers, you might be looking at them and kind of freak out and go, "Oh my God, the buck's antlers are red." Well, that's because again, it was living tissue. But yeah, they scrape off the velvet, this time of year.
You think they can feel that? Do they feel that at all, or no?
Well, I know for a fact that they feel. I know for a fact that they feel the. That they feel, pain when the antler's still growing and living. Absolutely.
Okay.
I can only imagine. And that's why you'll see white-tailed deer, and elk and, mule deer and all those kind of deer and deer species will actually fight, the males will fight with their hooves because they're trying not to damage their racks per se. On the other side, just real quickly, goats and sheep and black buck antelope, I think all the antelope species, they have horns. So horns are constantly growing, and they do not shed. So that's the difference between horns and antlers. Of course, you will hear a lot of people, especially in the South, say, "Boy, look at the horns on that Tom's gun." Like, yeah, well, not really, but
East Texas.
Yeah, there you go. So. But yeah, no. So the white-tailed deer, and again, our part of the state of Texas are just kind of starting to enjoy things. For example, we've had some pretty significant rainfall. We know that a lot of the fall browse or the browse plant species are coming out, and the deer are really starting to hit those. We know this because our protein feeders that we've got up and running, they're starting to, they're not hitting them as often. Now, if you go back and look at some of the material that we've published, and obviously it'll still be one of our major topics, on many podcasts to come, but, kind of our management plan when it comes to protein, the protein distribution on the place that we hunt is really going to be based off your range conditions, your amount of rainfall, really what time of the year it is. So, in August, we stop feeding protein, meaning we're probably not going to refill those feeders. So, that is unless it's just been incredibly dry or the drought is persisting, the high temperatures are really bad and the natural forage is gone, or is lacking per se.
And as you said, you've talked a lot about this on some of our blogs.
Yep.
About supplemental feeding. We have a supplemental feeding blog, and then basics of feeding for deer. So
absolutely.
So the folks can check that out at our blog, feedbandit.com/blog, and you can see those on there. So
absolutely. So. Again, right now we're but it's a great thing. Supplemental feeding is what it is. It's supplemental feeding. If your animals are relying on your supplemental feeding, you've got a problem. So obviously we are delighted to see the fact that they're not hitting the protein feeders as much because again they're utilizing that natural browse. So that's kind of what their deer are doing right now. It is especially the bucks. Now, the does they still got their fawns. Typically in our part of the state, the does will actually, the fawns will actually hang out with them. A lot of times actually through the deer season. Now they've been weaned, so Typically they'll have their fawns starting in mid to early May, and again then they'll keep those fawns with them. But typically by deer season, they're done. So yet again the does are saying
Right.
because Junior's not hanging around as much, and Junior's eating natural forage and all that kind of stuff, and not nursing. I mean, you will see some late drop fawns still nursing. You will see a couple with spots still, but that's typically on the way out. Something else that the deer are going to be looking forward to are the dreaded acorns. I call them dreaded because acorns are sometimes a stand hunter's worst nightmare. We typically, again, I keep saying it, I sound like a parrot here, but the place that we hunt, we will typically get our corn feeders up and running at about mid to late September. And then you typically start to see the live oak acorns starting to fall in late September. In fact, when I was hunting at the place last weekend, I actually had an acorn fall off a live oak tree and fall into my dog's bowl. We both looked back. What was that? What the hell was that?
Oh, did Scarlett figure out gravity?
She did. She's like, wasn't that, it was Newton, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was about to say Einstein. He was anyway. I failed history, but so the acorns are coming, okay, and of course, again, this, if you're a bow hunter, okay, especially up in the north, that's the northwest, but the Midwest and whatnot, you're hunting out there in the forest and whatnot. That's typically you'll see folks set up bow stands and whatnot in those oak trees, or near those oak trees rather, and do really well. Here in Texas, our forests are just incredibly thick, and so we've got what we call senderos or cuts, if you will, in the landscape, maybe down power lines, and that's where we'll have our blinds, and sometimes we'll have our corn feeders. And you hear a lot of guys really complaining a lot about, oh God, the acorns are here because the deer aren't, they're not there.
Mm-hmm.
They're out there they're underneath the trees eating the acorns. So, you definitely need to look at your trees, look at your pecans and your bur oaks, your live oaks, your red oaks. See what the acorns look like.
Because wasn't it 2 years ago, or so, was it 2 years ago at the ranch where, my God, they were just out of control, and we were just having such a hard time seeing anything.
Absolutely. They started real early, and literally the corn was stacking up underneath the feeders, and we weren't bothered by it because we weren't shooting anything then, but we're under the place we hunt at's under a managed land deer permit, so we can start shooting in October. We'd get in the blinds, and there'd be crickets, there'd be nothing there, just occasional coon, or other vermin, but they were out there eating the acorns. And something that we did to counter that is we got out of the blinds. Okay, we sat in these senderos and in these cuts in the landscape where we can catch deer transitioning. So that's one method of dealing with the acorns. Okay, so
that's a good segue into scouting travel lanes in a way. I guess, because then, if we didn't know their travel lanes at that time, we would have been even worse off probably, because that at least gives you a leg up on, okay, they're not coming to the feeders, so we kind of have an idea then where they actually are walking, so let's go right there.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And hunting travel lanes are a great way of doing it. And you'd be surprised, around a lot of deer stands. There's also a lot of good travel lanes. I mean, and it's funny. You can actually get up in a deer blind. Don't even look at your feeder. Look over on the right. Look over on the left, and and catch these deer transitioning. And that can be that can be a very effective way of hunting.
Any thoughts on? I don't know. Methods of scouting? And what to look for?
Yeah, no, absolutely. The one thing to always to think is, deer are just like humans. Okay, they watch college football, as Jimmy mentioned earlier, but they will definitely take the path of least resistance, assuming all of the factors that make them feel comfortable are there. Okay, now, you know, if you've got a scenario where you've got a 50-mile-an-hour north wind, and you've got a big oak tree, um, and there's two ways of getting there, right? So one would be through like an open field, and the other one would be through the thick shinnery. Well, because of that wind, the deer is obviously going to be already kind of freaked out, okay, because their senses aren't as great because they can't, with the wind being that crazy and that swirly, they can't really detect on what's going on. So, they're going to take the more protected way there. So, it's looking at trails again. You can see some trails that are definitely predefined. Obviously, droppings are a great way of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Starting to get a little bit later into the month, late September, early October, the whitetail bucks will start to create scrapes, and they'll start to do rubs. They'll rub little saplings and whatnot. So that's a real good way to tell if deer have been there. Something else to do is if you've had any of that moisture, any of that rain, it was something that I've kind of done is you can just do it with your hand, is go in there and take where you think there's a good travel route, and wipe your hand over that mud. So you're kind of creating a clean slate, right? And then go back and check it in a couple hours, or check it the next day, and you can see how many deer went through there, and you can generally tell whether it was a buck or a doe and how many, by looking at the tracks. Obviously, the best way of scouting for any game, whether it be hogs, turkey, or deer, would be with the trail cameras. The trail cameras are absolutely awesome, and man, they have come a long way. Pretty sure my dad was the first one in line at Bass Pro to buy a game camera when they were film. And I remember we were like, oh wow, it took 50 pictures, and we'd have to run up to Tom Thumb and have them develop the film, and right. Oh my God, I mean it was torture.
We're the last in the generation that will remember that.
Of course, film is coming back, but not
like records and things of that nature.
Oh, sure, absolutely, yeah. So yeah, September in general is a transition month. Things are starting to happen. In East Texas, I know that the rut is actually starting to happen. It's starting to get closer. The bucks are starting to get a little irritated with each other. It's just
it usually starts that much earlier in East Texas than
it really
even in
does.
Central Texas, and
it really does. It literally you can look it on a map, and if I find it, I'll post it, or I'll have you post it because I'm kind of inept when it comes to that stuff. But there's a map that shows, generally speaking, date, this week and late September through this week in October is the East Texas rut, and as you move further west, it just gets later and later and later until you really reach the Trans-Pecos area and the Panhandle, and you're talking about the mule deer rut is, so I think it's like in late January or early January. It's crazy. So yeah, it's just a wave of how they all do their breeding and whatnot. So it's kind of crazy.
Well, what are my favorite game? The turkey.
Mm-hmm.
What is old Tom doing this time of year?
Well, the turkeys this time of year are gearing up, and they're sitting around laughing their little feathery bottoms off to watch my father fuss and stew as 50 of them swoop in and clean up a 3-second spin of corn, and to hear my dad fumbling around the blind looking for a slingshot or his orange hanky to try to scare him away like some sort of raging bull.
Right.
The turkeys, the turkeys typically, in the spring they'll hang out together. Obviously, that's the quote unquote turkey rut. After the spring is over, they typically break back up into the bachelor groups. Obviously, the hens will be with their poults. I actually just saw last weekend. I saw a group of hens with some poults, and the poults are, which a poult is a baby turkey, for those who don't know. The poults now look about the size of a small chicken. So they're still going to be hanging out together separately. It seems like in the fall they come back together though to feed, and of course they always come back together to go up to the roost. But the turkeys are really kind of they can sense the change in the weather. They're going to be out there. They're going to be hitting the acorns as well. Okay, they're going to be hitting the corn, things of that nature. So they're getting ready for winter.
I don't know if you know the answer to this, but I've been meaning to look it up and always forget. Why does Texas, or at least where we are, why do we have a hen season in the fall? Well, I guess why do we have a split season like that? But do you know? I'm just.
I don't. Is it a hen season or is it a bearded hen season?
I'd have to look it up actually. But there is some season of some sort, and it's kind of it's split up from the regular spring.
Yeah,
obviously for gobblers and stuff. So
yeah, because I know in the spring you cannot shoot, and of course we're talking about Rio Grande turkeys. Texas has got 3 varieties actually. The Rio being the most popular, the Eastern, and then we actually have a in our mountainous area, quote unquote. We've actually got the Merriman turkey, which is the mountainous turkey. Now they've kind of become a hybrid apparently with some Rios, but anyway, I swear to you, Jimmy, that you can only shoot bearded hens in the fall. But I'm not really sure. The management on turkeys is, I tell you, it's actually a really great story. And maybe that's another topic for a blog would be the success. I tell you, I don't want to be giving it away, and hopefully you all listening out there and in podcast land will forget so we don't spoil the surprise. But I think maybe another topic we can talk about is, the hunter influenced success stories of animals, of game animals. I mean, the turkey is an incredible story. The snow goose is another one. So.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Yeah, if anyone out there listening knows that off the top of their head, send us an email, howdy at feedbandit.com.
Yep.
And let us know why that is. I'm curious.
Yep.
And I probably won't look it up before I go to bed, so I may forget again. So yeah,
there you go.
Please email us at howdy@feedbandit.com and let us know if you know the answer to that turkey question.
Absolutely.
And if we were prepared, we would give away something for the first person who emailed us with that answer.
That's right.
We need to plan ahead. Future podcasts, we will have a giveaway for a question that we ask ourselves and we don't know the answer to.
Yeah. I got some paper.
So keep listening.
Right here. Oh, and I got Elena of Avalar ring, which is you don't know who that is.
I have no idea.
A Disney character ring. Anyway, yeah. That's what happens when you have 2 little girls.
Anything else? Anything else about any of the other critters running around?
Yeah, I obviously we covered we talked about dove on the earlier one, but 2 more I'd like to talk about are the ducks and the geese and the cranes. The waterfowl again as the seasons turn, they start moving south. Okay. It's one of the things I mentioned in one of the other podcasts that we did was, if you're going to be hunting, the waterfowl and you're wanting to see when the next influx of migratory birds is coming, well, just check a couple of states north of you. Literally when Montana and Kansas and Oklahoma and really everything north of us starts getting really cold, you can be sure that there's going to be a whole influx of new targets. Ducks and geese and cranes and all that kind of fun stuff. So this time of year, things are. I mean, it's starting to get. It's starting to be fall up there, and so it's starting to get cool. In fact, I think Montana actually had they had some snow a couple weeks ago. So birds will be on the way. The teal duck is the first one down there. In fact, I mentioned earlier on another podcast that Texas has got a teal season that actually opens up this Saturday. Early teal season. It runs for I think 2 or 3 weeks. So I'll be excited to see if I can't hunt some of those teal birds. They are a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Yeah, but I think that the last game animal I'd like to cover, it's a pretty popular one. It's going to be the feral hog.
Ah, yes.
The feral hog is
The nemesis.
yeah, they really are. But in reality,
But
Texas
fun.
hunters, a lot of fun. Texas hunters should not look down on the feral hog, because it's because of the feral hog that the majority of us, not present company included, are just incredible marksmen. I mean, we have a plethora of targets basically year round.
Well, I'm still proud. I'm still proud of that shot that I did. How far? That was a long shot. Remember, we were driving and we're coming back towards Cottonwood.
Yep.
About to turn right on the power line there, and they started running across, and I had my 223
Yes.
AR, and
Oh, God.
I missed a couple. Then I nailed that one that came right out. I mean, sprinting across the road.
That was
Remember
impressive. Yeah, well,
Laid them out.
I do remember it, but I also remember the hot shells flying all over me. So I don't think I actually felt the kill shot, but
Yeah.
that was a lot of fun.
Well, but remember, we thought it was a kill shot. I laid that guy out,
Yeah.
and he rolled.
That's right.
And we were hooting and hollering and all that type of stuff. About to get in the car to go find him.
Yep.
And what happens? He gets up and runs away.
Yep.
After he'd been laying, I rolled him and he'd been laying there.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I tell you what, that's another topic. Feral hogs are just, God, they're just, they really are an incredible animal that, again, that they came from a domesticated animal, or the pig. I think the story is that when the Spaniards came over here, they brought a whole bunch of pigs with them. Some of them are going to get out, I guess, and have chicken wire back in the 1700s or whatever, and the 5-strand barbed wire, and so they escaped, and now they've become this impenetrable monster who has basically no enemies except for us, and of course coyotes and all that kind of stuff. So. Yeah, but a lot of people ask, okay, what are the hogs doing this time of year? Well, naturally the pigs are going to be all over your feeders. Come the 1st of October, there is a lot of squealing where we hunt, because those Piggly Wigglies will come out there as fun as they are, and we just we make a lot of bacon. But also they sometimes will disappear, in late September and into October, and again. What are they after? Something that we've been talking about this entire time. They're after those acorns. So, if you're actually looking for something fun to do, for example, say like your favorite college team is not playing until, 7 o'clock that night. Okay. And you don't want to take a nap. If you want to go find some hogs, get in the brush, get in the forest, find those live oak trees in the middle of the day, make sure the wind is at your face. Get your favorite trusty AR and some of your buddies and go have a ball. I guarantee you they're going to be in there. They're going to be in there eating those acorns. Well, that's a lot of fun. And while you do that, I'll be taking a nap.
Awesome. Well, on that note, you got anything else?
I think that's it, my friend. I think that's it. I mean, thank God it's as you said earlier, it's September. Dove season is here. Life is good, my friend. Life is good.
Absolutely. Well, if you guys like what you get here and want more, just a reminder, please join us. Join the hunt at feedbandit.com/join, where you'll get our free ebook of unique hunting tips and tricks. Again, go to feedbandit.com/join. And as a reminder, if you're a small business, a feed store, or a gear maker or inventor, and you'd like to get more exposure to potential customers by being featured on the Feed Bandit podcast, please let us know. Go to feedbandit.com/promote and drop us a line there. We'd love to discuss what we can do for you and your business. Again, that's feedbandit.com/promote. So thanks, everyone. And what do we like to say about feed stores?
Absolutely. Support your local feed stores.
Yes, sir. All right. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.